Feike, good to see you here in Davos.
Good to see you again.
Yeah. AI has been a focus, and the new technology has also been a focus. You've been in the industry that's dealing with it every day. Any new development in our logic of understanding of what's going on?
Well, you know, this whole World Economic Forum has the connection to globalization. That we're all connected from each other. And by the way, we are all connected to each other in the world, in global trade. China is the big manufacturing machine of the world. But a lot of the products that China is exporting comes from imported products also into China. China converts and exports. So you see here that every country, Europe, the US, China, is dependent on each other. And globalization brought prosperity to many people, billions of people, in many countries. But the problem is, it did not prosperity to all countries, if I look to Africa, etc., and not to all people in all countries. If you live in the middle part of the US, you see the two coast areas became richer and the middle part not. So I think we need to make globalization much more inclusive. And if not, then we see at this moment a little bit a pushback of globalization with regionalization or nationalization. America first, or made in India, or China, or Europe, etc.
What is the role of new technologies likely to play over the past one decade or so? We see new technologies being taken advantage of, and yet we also see the wealth increasing in the world, but we see the gap ever larger. So what, to your confidence, we are learning the lessons?
I'm convinced that technology can bring an awful lot. The innovations can bring an awful lot. We have huge problems with climate, and Africa is suffering. And Macky Sall, when he was chairman of the African Union, said, we Africans suffer the most, we Africans cost the least, and please, you need to help. Well, there are now seeds who can survive in droughts or flooding period, the new agricultural techniques, etc. There are new instruments and techniques to protect cities or protect infrastructure. And so we have a big problem, climate change. We have many people suffering, but we also have new technologies to address that. The issue is, however, can we allocate the right money streams to those who need it, and can we implement it there where it's needed? But it's not true that the world does not have technology solutions for its problems. And that's the good news.
But now we see it's a fractured world. Geopolitics, geoeconomics are getting ever more complicated. As a result, there were certain areas of technologies, chip, for example, which is very obvious, has become a tool of geopolitics. So many people are so worried now whether other areas will also become victims. So you work on biotechnology a long time. So how do you see the danger here? And the people, friends of yours, what are they trying to do in order to avoid that worst scenario?
Yeah, because if you look to technology, take AI, take chips. Everybody needs the chips. Everybody needs AI. And you see that not the world is fragmented, the technologies are fragmented also. One has this part of the technology and patented it. One has another part of technology and patented it. Now we need both parts of the technology to get it working. Yeah. And there we had several sessions in this week where people find out, oh, even I cannot do without you because I need you, and by the way, you need me also. That's interdependence not in countries, but interdependence in technologies, companies, competencies, solutions, etc. And what we try to do in some sessions is not only having those business people or academia discussing that, but bring in political leaders to watch that and to see, hey, you political leaders need to take care, we still collaborate in the world. However, I need to say also that the same political leaders will not be re-elected, and we have the year of re-elections. Half of the global population goes to elections. They will not be re-elected if they do not make globalization, economic prosperity more inclusive, because then the voters will not vote for them. So they, I'm glad I'm not a politician, because they have the difficult task to continue to deal with this interdependence and to take care of the people in their own region who did not benefit from it. By the way, you as China did a pretty good job about that. If we see how the prosperity increased in China, how hunger is totally out of China, etc., etc., China, I think, did an amazing job. And what I feel very positive, discussing also with Mr. Xi, the climate envoy for China in the COP and other places, China is very open to take action, to collaborate with others, etc. And that is, I think, what we need.
There are a lot of people who do not necessarily know the information about how fast China's green development has been.
Yes.
The Chinese premier during one of the forum's conferences actually shared some information, very limited number he could share during one speech, but 20 million electronic cars running on the road every day. You also got a tremendous amount of trillions of industry every year that can come out of green development.
Yeah.
So you've been involved in many international negotiations, Feike.
Correct.
And you are now serving on many different boards on international governance regarding technology, regarding cooperation. Tell me more, how do you see where we are, how much sophisticated we have become over the past 4 to 5 years overall in understand the logic you just beautifully illustrated?
It's interesting when you read the newspapers, television, listen to some politicians, you feel this geopolitical tension. Okay. If you're on boards and the executive committee of companies, I'm involved in several big companies, whether it is Unilever or Philips or DSM, etc. Every company wants to be globally active. No company is saying, forget China or forget Asia or forget US. No, they all want to be active, and they say, we cannot afford not to be in it. So if I'm in the boards of companies, I see a great intention to collaborate with everybody, to enter all markets, and then you watch at the same moment television in the evening and you see the tension. And here...
So what's the reason for this? Why so disconnected?
Well, I think because the politicians are afraid that a part of the population is not benefiting enough and they are angry. And we have seen that in the elections in the Netherlands. We need still to wait the US. We have seen other countries. So a part of the population is not happy. And I think, I say that also in our boards, as companies we need to take care of that one also. We need to help the governments to get this more inclusive and to create prosperity for others. Otherwise governments will not help us. The other thing is we need to communicate better with governments and political leaders, and that's the advantage here of the forum. I had so many interactions with political leaders of what business is doing, and to open their eyes how the world of business is. They still talk two different languages.
Recently, I've been talking to some business leaders present here and beyond. They have been telling me, don't call us PC, politically correctness. In fact, what we are trying to do is we do not want to talk all the time anymore. We want to focus on what we are doing the best, which is try to run the company and contribute. Yeah. But now, there is concern though, Feike, that business communities in different parts of the world are trying to align themselves with the so-called political correctness of their country, of their region, and where they're based. How do you see this phenomenon?
I understand the political correctness, and as you indicated, it's there. But I hope, and that's what I stimulate in the boards, that we show the world as it is. And if that is an inconvenient message for some, then be it an inconvenient message. This is a little bit the emperor's closest ever. I mean, please, tell how the world really is. And listen, we need to have each other. If I take one thing to address climate change, a price on carbon, is that a company thing? Is that a country thing, a government thing? The governments do not dare to put a price on carbon if companies say, we will be less competitive. Now, more companies say, you need a price on carbon to change us. Then governments have the power to make regulations. Companies cannot do that. So this is the interactions. Companies need to help governments to dare to put a price on carbon. If countries put a price on carbon, then companies will move and become more sustainable. So here you see the interaction, and we had on this carbon pricing several sessions during the forum, government and private sector. Hey, we hold each other hostage. Let's help each other and let's hold each other hostage.
Right. How much do you think is still there space for cooperation between China and Europe?
Europe cannot do without China, and I hope China can do without Europe. We need each other. So many products of Europe come out of China, and it will be much more expensive or sometimes even impossible to manufacture those in Europe, and we have the demand of those products. So we need China. Let's also be clear, a lot of the products, like I said, China is exporting, come from imported goods also. So China needs other parts of the world as well. And we need to collaborate. And you cannot cut off, I think, regions of the world, nor from technology. And let's be honest, the technology is providing so much. From Philips, we see what we can do in home care at this moment. With AI, AI will change every single company. And so I'm positive on what technology can bring, but I agree with you, I'm also concerned about the fragmentation at this moment and the different language that the business sector and the public sector speak. And they need each other. They cannot have two different worlds in neither's interest. And that we need to address better.
International governance possibilities, for example, about AI. UN is doing something. We also see the AI summit earlier in UK involving players, including China. But speed of all of these discussions are so much lagging behind the real development. That's one thing. The other thing is, as we know, sometimes scientists do not even know what they're doing because things can be developing very fast without they knowing exactly what is the things they are working on today. When you have been for decades working on new technologies, how do you articulate the possibilities of technologies, trying to prepare in advance the pitfalls of them, while at the same time educate and at the same time working with your counterparts with some plans, even implementation of these plans? For me, this is mind-boggling, but tell me about how you are doing it.
What you need to do is you need to be transparent and open first. AI will result in losing some jobs. It will happen. Some jobs will disappear. And I think we need to be honest on that. At the same moment, the same AI will create new jobs and create new...
Usually that's the logic, isn't it?
And we need to be open on that. AI can be used for negative things? Absolutely. Let's be open on that. AI can be used for positive things also. And I think companies, governments need to be very open on that. Otherwise, and I see some companies doing that, no, it's only positive, it only brings us this. And then you have other people say, well, that's not totally true. Let's tell both truths.
But it's not easy to tell the truth because the literacy of these technologies is not necessarily sufficient.
Yeah, but it's the only way to tell the truth. And also to indicate, a small example from Philips. It is also important to see that they shift sometimes your own R&D programs. Philips makes monitors of CT and MRI scans. We want to increase the pixel density because then you see it's sharper, that's better for the doctors. Now with AI, we tell our researchers we don't need to increase the pixel density. AI will make it bigger pixel density and you see it better. So sometimes even your whole R&D programs are shifting due to AI. And that is fascinating.
Well said. Feike, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.